Hello and welcome to Elevating Our Stories. I'm your host, Sylvia Ewing, a Principal Director at Elevate. For this episode, we're elevating stories of healthy communities. With us today for an exciting conversation about Mayor Johnson's new role is Dave Collada, the Executive Director of the Citizens Utility Board, as well as Ann Evans and Delmar Gillis, Elevate CEO and COO. We're also joined by Bueza Itachi, Englewood Nature Trail and Plaza Steward of Grow Greater Englewood, and we'll get a visit from Ernie the LED light bulb and my co-host Amrit Such for some seasonal energy-saving tips. And finally, we'll chat with Tina Marie Williamson, a coordinator with Elevate's Workforce and Contractor Development, to hear some updates on how we're impacting the clean energy economy with her team. Let's get started. What do you think should be Mayor Brandon Johnson's environmental priorities? Dave Collada, from your perspective at CUB, what should they be?
Well, I think there's a real good opportunity here to move the city forward on what's known as building electrification so we can move toward a cleaner form of heat. Right now, we have a situation where an increasing number of consumers just simply can't afford to pay their heating bill because fossil fuel heat is not only bad for the environment, it's also increasingly costly. And so I think that there's a real opportunity here for the city to move forward. We should start, I think, with an ordinance that requires new construction to be consumer and environmentally friendly, and then move on to a building performance standard that will ultimately help the city decarbonize our buildings.
Thank you, Ann. So glad to see you from Elevate. What's your perspective?
It's great to be here. I'm really excited about the opportunity for the city of Chicago to join other cities in a cumulative impact ordinance that will stop the concentration of pollution and polluting industries in certain communities like we experience on our southeast side.
Thank you. And lots of terms, cumulative and impact, but basically stop putting all the polluting industries in black and brown spaces.
Exactly.
Love it. Delmar, I want to hear your answer about that question and then talk to you a little bit about your appointments.
Thank you, Sylvia, and it's great to be on today. From a priority perspective, I really feel like the mayor and his administration should focus on communities and focus on youth. There are a lot of needs within communities, especially black and brown communities, especially related to environmental justice. And from the youth perspective, it's really important that we engage our youth in solving our climate changes, because without them, we're just not going to be able to solve the problems that we have on the horizon.
Well, and you have a seat at the table to talk about that because you, along with Maria from Elevate, you're on the transition team. So what are the plans there?
Yeah, the mayor has us focused on a couple of really important areas. Myself, I've been very engaged in the discussion around resurrecting the Department of the Environment, which is critically important. Once again, we're up against some very aggressive climate goals, and the mayor really wants to make sure that Chicago is a leader in meeting climate targets, but not just meeting targets, but environmental justice, especially at the community level. So that's where I focused. There's also a focus on infrastructure, a focus on clean air, focus on water. And so the mayor has a very wide-ranging strategy to really bring Chicago to the forefront and be a leader in environmental justice.
I'll come back to you a little bit later to hear about what the governor's talking about, but I'm going to come back to you, Ann. I want to ask you about any predictions about or advice for the new city council, because we've got some new folks coming in.
Yeah, I think the main strong message is collaboration. We need to work together. There's a lot of important initiatives that the three of us have just talked about that have the opportunity to move forward this year if we can get council to collaborate and work together.
That's an important message. Dave, what about you?
I totally agree with that. I think there's a real great opportunity here if there's collaboration to move the city forward. There's been a lot of power building in communities. I think we're ready to go to make Chicago a world leader in being a healthy, affordable city. And I think that very much look forward to working with the mayor and council to see that's achieved.
Are there any initiatives that they should look at first or throughout the year?
Well, I think one of the things that will come up is the ComEd franchise agreement. I think Mayor Lightfoot did a good job from a starting point where you have a frame of what could be a pretty good deal here. I think it needs to be improved. But it's something that if you do right, it's going to leverage federal funding as well, because with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, there's now a lot of money available to help consumers, particularly low-income and environmental justice communities, to achieve goals. And we want to make sure that we're maximizing the benefits of the IRA, and I think the council can play a very important role in that. And the franchise agreement, to the extent that it can get done, I think plays into that, because a key part of it would be $100 million from ComEd shareholders that would sort of seed a new fund that could do a lot of really good things.
That's really important to hear. So we're talking about teeing up Chicago for success, but Illinois has been a leader in centering equity in the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. Delmar, what's this new appointment that you have? Break the news here. Too late to break it, but tell us more.
Yes, I have been quite honored to be appointed to the Clean Energy Jobs and Justice Fund as a member by Governor J.B. Pritzker. I'm excited about what this fund is going to do for Illinois, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Cheryl Johnson from PCR, whose idea this fund was. Basically, what we're trying to do is to provide grants and other funding to marginalized contractors so that they can do work in energy efficiency and clean energy. And the governor wanted to structure a board that isn't just bankers and venture capitalists, but include community members and leaders from the community so that we make sure that this money gets to the community so that projects, especially in Black and brown communities, get developed and built. So we're really excited about it.
Well, you are no stranger to that. You were in the negotiations for that CEJA bill to make sure that it was equitable. So we know that you know how to speak up and make sure people are represented. But Ann, can you say a little more about the IRA? And we're not talking about, Internal Revenue or some other agency. What is it and why does it matter?
Yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act that Dave first mentioned and that you bring up provides $369 billion for climate investments, with 40% of that committed to Black and historically marginalized communities. So that's a big, huge investment, and I think it's we really need to rise to the challenge to make sure that those dollars are spent well. So the state agencies will be getting billions and billions of dollars. I think I'm happy that Delmar is in a leadership role. I think we all have to be watching how those dollars are spent and make sure that they go to the communities that need them most.
Thank you. I think that's so important. So we're leading the way. I know that we also have a conversation later about contractors, but can you say just a little bit about the work that CEJA did that makes contracting for the clean energy economy with renewables and other things and just other work available?
Yes, one of the major programs in CEJA is called the Illinois Solar for All. And what Illinois Solar for All, or ILSFA as we like to call it, does is it provides incentives for solar installation, especially in marginalized communities. So we've tried to make solar accessible to everyone, so you don't just have to have bags of money in the bank to get solar.
Bags of money.
Yeah, you don't need a bag of money. What you can do is go to ILSFA and basically access incentives to get solar installed on your home. What the fund is going to do is focus on the contractors. So what we want to make sure of is as solar is implemented, we want to have Black, brown, and diverse contractors able to work on this work. Unfortunately, the way incentives work is they get paid after the project is completed, but many contractors need money for supplies, to buy solar panels, to buy payroll, all of the fees. And so this fund is actually going to provide money to them so that they can make the initial investments. And also it allows them to work on more than one project so that they can grow their business and expand so that ILSFA can serve more customers.
I love it. Access to capital, all those good things. I want to close out our short time together with a question for all of you. And that is both on the positive front and, challenge. I'd like to know what, if anything, keeps you up at night and what you're hoping for the future. And Dave, Collada, Cub, I'll start with you.
Sure, it's actually kind of two sides of the same coin. What keeps me up at night is the increasing affordability issue when it comes to people's gas. We have a situation now where, structurally speaking, a third of the city can't afford to pay their monthly bills, and that's only going to get worse. And so we need to take action to help solve that problem, and that's what gives me hope, because I do think with improvements in technology, with heat pump technology, and with the massive amount of federal funding that's available for beneficial electrification, I think that there's really, really good opportunities to move the city in a more consumer and environmentally friendly fashion based on a new form of clean heat. So that's what I'd say.
Delmar, what about you? I'm going to give Ann the last word.
All right. So I would say the thing that keeps me up is the climate clock, actually. We need a sense of urgency around solving these challenges. And I see a lot of the positive momentum, and Dave mentioned a lot of the things that are moving forward. So that would be something, is making sure that we all have a sense of urgency. On the positive side, as one of the interim negotiators for CEJA, I'm happy that the RFPs, or the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFOs, are starting to go out. So for those in your audience that are interested in engaging as a contractor for CEJA, those opportunities are starting to go live at the DCO website. So that's really positive and exciting to see the program come to life.
I love it. Sylvia, translation, money's coming.
Exactly.
And you have to go to the websites to do it. And what about you?
Yeah, so the climate crisis is anxiety provoking. I am a major gardener. I see it every day in my garden. I think what gives me hope is the emerging leaders and our youth who are demanding change. And they're demanding it with persistence and beauty and love, and that's what we need.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you. Delmar Gillis, my colleague from Elevate, Ann Evans, my CEO, and Dave Collada, our good friend from CUB, the Citizens Utility Board. Stay tuned for this from Elevate Media.
My name is Michael Woods. I'm the Principal Director of Operations. My position entails working with various team members here within Elevate. What I'm helping to do, hopefully, these processes that we're putting in place will help us do our jobs a lot better and more efficient. A specific project that I'm working on is working on the development of a project management office. And this office will be a sort of one-stop shop for all of our project managers for training and any type of assistance that they may need in terms of helping them develop budgets, also walking them through every aspect of their budgets and just being there as a mentor and a guide. A situation that I'm most proud of, there's more than one situation, given that I'm a new individual here, has been to actually meet the teams in terms of who I would be working with on a daily basis, and seeing how welcoming and inviting that the elevators have been to me.
And now we're pleased to welcome to the show Bweza Ataji, the Englewood Nature Trail and Plaza Steward of Grow Greater Inglewood. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, you work with my good friend, I call him nephew, Anton Seals.
Yes.
And we were saying off the air what a blessing it is to see things that were just an idea manifest on the earth. And that is, what gives hope to all of us. So say a little bit about what you do and what is Grow Greater Inglewood and the trail.
So first I'll say Grow Greater Inglewood is a community organization based in the Englewood neighborhood of Chicago, working to transform some of the vacant lots, which are abundant, into spaces for food businesses, for sustainable employment opportunities, and for places for residents to just gather, thrive, and convene. And my role in that is to help steward the Englewood Nature Trail, which is a 2-mile-long former train line that we are working to repurpose into a community-driven park and just nature space for the community.
How exciting is that? A place to take your children, to get the fresh air, to be in
Yes.
nature. Are there examples around the country of other folks that have done this?
There are. So we recently joined a network led by the High Line, which is based in New York. The High Line went through a similar process of repurposing an abandoned train line into a community park. And they did this 10 or so years ago. And so now they are working to support groups like ours to help with best practices, to share insights on things that they wish they had done sooner, that they didn't implement until later in the process. And that's connecting us with over a dozen different projects throughout the country. And it's amazing to see.
Oh, I just love hearing that. How can people both support or connect with you?
Well, we have tours of the trail that we'll host throughout the summer, and none of the construction has started, so we're still very early in the initial planning and designing process. But even as it is now, it's such a beautiful, lush space. The trees have taken over. There's so many medicinal plants that are naturally growing on the space. So we invite people from all over Chicago to come and just see the space as it is, and then witness the transformation over time. So that's the easiest way to connect is through, on our website, we post when we have the trail walks.
And we'll put the website on the screen, but for folks who'd like to hear it, say it.
Yes, the website is www.growgreater.org.
One of the things that I love is you have an organization with a different structure. Earlier in the show, we had the traditional, the CEO, executive director, COO. Why steward?
Stewards are how we view ourselves. We, as people who live on the earth, as Black and brown people, really have a natural connection to the earth, and we see it as our role and responsibility to steward or nurture the earth. And that doesn't have a hierarchical structure. It's really all of us in the work together. Although we do have our wonderful leader, Anton. He very much does lead the way, but the rest of us just steward alongside him.
I love this because I always thought of that in terms of our place as parents, our place as elders, that in many ways we are stewards for the next generation. And I love seeing the application of that philosophy in a workplace, in a successful organization that's making dreams come true. So,
Yes.
wonderful. As we wrap up, what are your big plans for the future? You know, what's your vision for the Englewood Nature Trail and for Grow Greater Englewood?
Well, we see the Englewood Nature Trail as part of a larger vision, and we call it the Agro-Eco District.
Agro, like agriculture, eco?
Exactly.
I see you.
Agriculture, ecology, it's a term that we're just using to merge the two, because we do envision that the trail will be a connector between growing food businesses throughout the neighborhood, farms, gardens, restaurants, and it's a way that neighborhood residents can come and walk along the trail, feel the nature, but also support local businesses. And we also want to see some of the vacant lots just become beautiful, thriving Black spaces. And that's the future that I'm very excited about and happy to be a part of.
Well, I'm so glad. I know that my colleagues wanted to learn more about this work. We are in awe of what you're doing, and I'm so glad you could join us today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. That is Bueza, and I'm going to now turn the set over to my wonderful co-host, Amrit, for a fun segment on energy-saving tips with her sidekick, you know him, Ernie the LED light bulb.
Very informative interview. Thank you for that, Sylvia. Now I'm going to pass it over to Ernie, our Elevate mascot, with some energy-saving tips. Take it away, Ernie.
Thanks, Amrit.
Ernie here with some tips on helping you save energy. Making sure your home is well sealed and insulated is one of the best things you can do to make sure your home is efficient, healthy, and resilient. In fact, you can seal cracks and gaps in your home all by yourself with weather stripping tape or caulk. Also have a contractor insulate your home to keep the outside air out and the inside air in. This leads to less mold, pollen, and insects in your house. That's the big energy saving tip of this episode. Back to you, Amrit. Thanks for that. Back to you, Sylvia.
Thanks, Ernie and Amrit. Finally, I always look forward to these segments. Let's welcome Tina Marie Williamson for an update on Elevate's contractor and workforce development team. Hey, Tina.
Hi, Sylvia. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, yeah. So first, tell people what you do and what your role is.
Right. So I am the coordinator for workforce and contractor development here at Elevate. And this is a role that puts me in the mix with everyone. A lot of contractors, working with them, building relationships, starting new, strengthening others, and then also the student base that we work with and the partners, of course.
I love it. So what's happened since last we spoke?
A lot has happened. We had an excellent job fair where employers came and met with our graduates, and we just had our graduation. So we had 12 students graduate from our solar training program.
Hey.
Yep, it was located in South Holland, Illinois at the CETA facility, and then in conjunction with our partner, the Reactivate. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm excited because now we're in the follow-up stages after graduation, seeing where this is going to lead for these people and change their lives.
Well, see, in that, you hear us talk about the policy work that has to be done, and then talk about making space for contractors, and this is even more of the work to make sure that there are folks who are trained to do the work. What's coming up?
So we have a nice summer ahead of us. We just finished this cohort. We'll have another one later in the year. So this is the planning stages. This is where we take what we learned from this previous cohort, the case management from working with the students, the partners, the employers, and we say, what could we do to bump it to the next level? What have we learned? What worked great? What could use a little fine tuning? And that's what I say the thickness of the work is when you care this much and it's this important, you take this time to really dive deep and see what can we do to just change the game even further.
And then you're going to be spreading the word out in the world as well.
Yes, there's going to be outreach, heavy outreach in the community saying, listen, this is the work that we're doing. This is the type of students we're looking for. And that's extremely important. And it's funny because I say this sometimes, you know, the legislation, the policy work, we lay it out, and then you have the outreach opportunities where people go into the community and say, these are opportunities that are designed for you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it sounds a little too good to be true. And people will look at you and think, is that really a possibility for me? And it is. And that's what is exciting about me, about these graduations like we just had, where we say, this was a product we produced. We were able to provide an opportunity that made an impact in this community. So we're going to be getting the word out even further and saying, we've got more to do. And this is open for everybody.
I love it, and we'll make sure people know how to reach you. But we say clean energy is for everyone, and work in the clean energy economy is for everyone, especially for people who've been left behind.
Do you want to know what makes Chicago great at 8? It's me. It's Cooking with Tittle. Bon appetit, let's eat. For more than 20 years, Cooking with Tittle has brought you sizzling eats and titillating treats that you can't beat anywhere else. So tune in to CAN TV 19 this week and every week for Cooking with Tittle and more amazing, unique, and homegrown Chicago programs.
Thank you for joining us for Elevating Our Stories of Community Health. Thanks to Dave Collada, Delmar Gillis, Ann Evans, Bueza Itachi, Tina Marie Williamson, and my co-host Amrit Such and Ernie the LED light bulb. And thank you to everyone who made this program possible. If you like the show, tell a friend. I'm Sylvia Ewing. See you next time. And until then, follow us on social media and be well.